Welcome to my lesson. Thank you for attending the lesson. Online education, dear students. The subject of theoretical phonetics. We are going to have an interactive lesson using Peer Deck platform. There is a link. Now, first of all, will you answer the brainstorming questions? What are the pictures meant for you? Predict content of the lesson, please. You are given 5 minutes. Good job. Thank you. What do you think about topic? Write your responses. Thank you. Stress check. Drag the icons, please. I am in a good space and can focus. Something is bothering me, but I can still focus. I can't manage my emotions or behaviors right now. Well done. Dear students, let's revise the previous topic. In 2 minutes, write your responses, what words and sentences you remember. Draw or type 2 things you already know about today's topic. Draw anywhere on the slide. Great job. Thank you. Now, please speak about your prediction. Write your responses. Well done. Today's lecture is about speech mechanisms. Now, I am Zawri Badanbek Qaza, Foreign Languages Chair. The aim of the lecture is formation of students' linguistic, intercultural, communicative, and personal adaptive competencies on the topic. The objectives of the lecture: to describe the stages of articulation process of speech sounds, to define the speech mechanisms, to characterize the types of speech mechanisms, learning outcomes. By the end of the lecture, you will describe the stages of articulation process of speech sounds, define the speech mechanisms, characterize the types of speech mechanisms. Problems to be discussed today: how speech sounds are produced, the stages of articulation process of speech sounds, types of speech mechanisms, what is a speech mechanism, the functions of 4 types of speech mechanisms in producing speech sounds. Keywords: speech production mechanisms, power resonator, vibrator, abstractor mechanisms, speech organs, the speech chain, the articulation process, vocal cords, mechanism system. Now here's some vocabulary in 3 languages: English, Kazakh, and Russian. Now, match the words to the pictures, please. If you know, speak about them. You are given 3 minutes. Choose your options. Well done. Let's start our lecture. The stages of articulation process of speech sounds. How speech sounds are produced. Human speech is the result of highly complicated series of events. Let's consider the speech chain, which may be diagrammed in simplified form like this: speaker's brain, speaker's vocal tract, transmission of sounds through the air, listener's brain. Pay attention to the scheme, to the figure, and you will understand it. The articulation process is realized in the following scheme. The message is formed and encoded in the brain of speaker, linguistic physiological level, the first one. The second one is it is transmitted to the organs of speech and some sounds are articulated, physiological stage. The third articulation process is the movement of the organs of speech, produce sound waves, physical acoustic stage. The sound Waves are perceived, identified, and decoded by the listener. It is auditory stage. The formation of the concept takes place in the brain of the speaker. This stage may be called physiological. The message formed within the brain is transmitted along the nervous system to the speech organs. Therefore, we may say that the human brain controls the behavior of the articulating organs, which affects in producing a particular pattern of speech sounds. The second stage may be called physiological. The movements of the speech apparatus disturb the air's stem, thus producing sound waves. Consequently, the third stage may be called physical or acoustic. Further, any communication requires a listener as well as a speaker. So the last stages are the reception of the sound waves by a listener's hearing physical apparatus, the transmission of the spoken message through the nervous system to the brain, and the linguistic interpretation of the information conveyed. Now, speech constitutes a favored means of human communication by virtue of its apparatuses and because of the speed of information transmission that it enables. An average of output of 20 phonemes per second allows not less than 150 words per minute that humans can produce for communication purposes. Speech is the result of a neuromotor activity. It is initiated by a current of air generated by lungs and transformed at the level of the larynx by the action of the vocal folds and directed towards the nasal and oral cavities by the velium or soft palate. Finally, the air current is very precisely shaped at different places in the mouth by the tongue until it emerges from the vocal tract through the double chatter known as the lips, as shown in figure 2. If you will pay attention to figure, you will understand. Now, mechanism systems. Now, respiratory muscles, lungs, vocal folds, larynx, velum, lips, tongue, vocal tract, speech sounds. The organs of speech, organs which are active directly or indirectly in the process of speech production are called organs of speech. There are two types of organs of speech, passive and active. Active organs of speech are tongue and lips. The most passive of them are upper teeth and hard palate. Now you can see the pictures of speech organs here. The larynx. The larynx is a box-like structure made up cartilage, muscle, and connective tissue. It is situated at the top of the windpipe, trachea. You can feel the largest cartilage in the larynx, which is known as the thyroid cartilage if you place your finger lightly on an Adam's apple. The larynx consists of vocal folds, which are also known as vocal cords. Vocal cords are two horizontal folds of elastic tissue. The vocal cords can take three positions. They can be wide apart or they can be brought close together, but they're held loosely together. Speech production mechanisms. Speech sounds are the results of various movements and positions of human speech organs. They are products of the complicated work of speech mechanisms. These mechanisms are closely interconnected because in the process of production of a sound, Several speech mechanisms function simultaneously. Speech mechanisms can be divided into the following four groups: the resonator mechanism, the abstractor mechanism, the power mechanism, the vibrator mechanism. All the speech sounds in Kazakh, Russian English, and many other languages are made during exhalation. Breathing may be of two kinds: ordinary biological breathing, which takes place when we are silent. In ordinary breathing, the stream of air flows out freely. The vocal cords are apart and glottis is widely open. The soft palate is lowered, letting the air through the nasal cavity. Sound-producing breathing, inhalation, is quick and deep, whereas exhalation is longer and drawn up. In sound-producing breathing, the outflowing air undergoes some modification in the glottis, in the larynx, and in the mouth cavity. As stated before, there are four types of speech mechanisms. Let's consider speech mechanisms and their functions separately. Resonator mechanism. It consists of pharynx, larynx, the mouth cavity, the nasal cavity. The vocal tract above the larynx starts with a passageway called pharynx. Then the vocal tract divides. One passageway goes up into the nasal cavity and the other into the mouth cavity. We can close off the access to the nasal cavity by raising the soft palate, also called velum, and then air will go through the mouth and the sound will be oral, most English, Kazakh, and Russian. Or we can lower the soft palate and allow the air to go into the nasal cavity, in which case the sound will be nasal. The extreme end of the velum is a small piece of tissue called the uvula, which plays a part in the pronunciation of some languages, such as French, for instance, has R sound. The abstractor mechanism. The task of a mechanism is to make abstractions to the airstream, thus producing different speech sounds. It consists of the tongue, the lips, the teeth, the soft palate with the uvula, and the hard palate. Abstractor mechanism is responsible only for production of consonants. There are several types of articulation abstraction: complete, incomplete, intermittent. Power mechanism. It regulates the airstream exhaled from the lungs. The main speech organs of which speech belongs to the power mechanism are as follows: the diaphragm, the lungs, bronchi, windpipe, trachea, glottis. The function of the power mechanism is to supply the organs of speech with energy in the form of air pressure and to regulate it during speech. Breathing consists of two phases: inhalation and exhalation. Vibrator mechanism, or the voice production mechanism. The task of this mechanism is to produce voice. It consists of the vocal cords. They are in the larynx or voice box. They vibrate when the air passes between them. The opening between the vocal cords is called glottis. All English vowels and many English consonants are voiced. Now, dear students, let's revise the topic, the vocabulary. Work with vocabulary. Match the words in column A with their definitions in column B. Now choose your options. Now you have 2-3 minutes. Well done. Now use literature here. Now, dear students, write down the words that you have known before on the left side, and on the right side words you know now. Write your responses. You have 2 minutes. Fantastic. Now step up to the solution. If you understood, it is the Bloom's taxonomy. Please draw anywhere on this slide about today's problem. You are given 5 minutes. Great job. Thank you. Now reflect on today's activities. What did you like? I liked the lesson. It was interesting and not difficult for me. What didn't you like? The lesson was boring. I haven't learned anything. What was easy? Watching video or answer the questions. What was hard? It was interesting, but there were some difficulties. You are given 2 minutes. Great. Thank you. Draw conclusions. What conclusions do you draw from the lecture? Draw anywhere on this slide. You are given 2 minutes. Well done. Home task or homework. Create a mini video project. Find a video about the speech mechanisms. Watch and study it, then create your own text and video about the topic. You should write an aim, plan, what are you going to show about, make up brainstorming questions, complete a small test about the topic using Kahoot. At the seminar, present your mini video project. Discuss the topic with the teacher and group mates and evaluate your work. Any questions? Now, thank you very much for coming. The lesson is over. Goodbye. Bye-bye.